Good afternoon. Another week begins. It is Tuesday and we're supposed to be having a whole week of perfect sunshine, so I'm hoping to get a lot done, i.e. the polytunnel covered. That's the idea anyway, but I can't do that today. What I'm going to do this afternoon is actually plant out some of the beans, the climbing beans. It's going to be some Violetta French beans, some Taiwan green French beans, the Greek gigantes and Bolotti. Yes, I do probably think it's a bit early. We planted them out this time last year as well, and they did get checked by a late cold snap. But essentially, they're too big to stay in the pots they're in, and they're climbing all around each other, and they're going to end up getting snapped. So I figure put them in the ground. If they get checked by the frost, so be it. Because we had such poor germination rate with the first sowing, which are the ones I'm putting out now, we've sown backups of all of them anyway, except for the Taiwan bean, because I sowed them all in the first lot. But basically we've got a round 2 coming to fill in any gaps, and yeah, so we're just going to go for it really. I mean, I fully accept I'm probably being lulled into a false sense of security with this fantastic weather, but that's the way it goes. As you can see, they really are quite a jumble. They've been in the conservatory at home just getting completely and utterly wrapped around each other. This is going to be a bit of a task to unwind before we can plant them. So as always, first step is going to give the ground a really good soaking before we plant into it. I'm going to dig quite a long, narrow hole for these because, as I said before, all of my legumes are planted into root trainers. And because these ones have been in their root trainers for so long, they've got quite a dense root system. So I'm going to try and disturb that as little as possible. As you can see, they're quite dense. So I'll just be able to slide them out as a whole and plonk them straight into the hole that I've dug with as little disturbance as possible, really. I'm putting them in the edge of the asparagus bed up one of the arches, and so I don't really want to disturb the soil too much, or as little as I can, really. So these ones are the white flowered Taiwan bean, something I've never grown before. But up this arch is going to have the Taiwan bean and the Violetta, so the purple beans, so they should look quite lovely together. The Violetta are quite a lot longer than the Taiwan. As you can see, I'm going to have to wind them up a bit as they get them started. Ah, yeah, look, you see the Greek gigantes, they grow so much faster than the others, and they are just desperate to get out of these pots. Yeah, I know it's early, but I think it's the right decision to get them out. So I'll just wind these up here. These are going on the next arch up, and I'll put the Bolotti in there when they're ready. So fingers crossed we don't get that cold snap. Good morning, it is Wednesday and I am going to be putting these baby leeks, this is Nipper, and I've also got Musselburgh in the other tray. I'm going to be putting them into an intermediary bed today. This process of moving leeks into an intermediary bed between the seed tray and their final position is a really old-fashioned method. It's pretty unnecessary really, but if I'm honest, I find it quite a meditative experience. I only do it for the first set of leeks of the year. And like I say, it's a sunny day and I'm quite enjoying myself. So what I'm doing is taking these leeks that are sort of very skinny, very closely sown in these little tiny seed trays. They don't have a lot of soil in them, and so what I'm doing is putting them in a bed with a little bit of space between them so that they can grow up and become about the thickness of a pencil. Once they reach that size, I'll dig them up again and transplant them into a bed where they'll become full-size leeks. Like I say, this process is fairly unnecessary. The next wave I'll sow straight into the bed, and they'll stay there until they become pencil size. I sowed these in seed trays because I started them off in early February, and they've been inside, so they've got a bit of a head start, and it just gives me an earlier crop. When you look at a leek, you've got the root system and you've got the white section, the blanched bit, and then you've got the green leaf on top. Once these leeks reach pencil sized, I will dig them up and bury them in really deeply so that only the tops of their leaves are sticking out. That depth that they get is what becomes that blanched white stem. In fact, these ones I'm doing now are Musselburgh. The first set that I put in, the nipper, you can eat them at pencil size. You don't even have to let them get big, so it's quite possible I'll just eat the nipper as they become ready. But the Musselburgh I'll definitely transplant. You can just sow leeks in a line in your soil and leave them there until you're ready to pick them. There's no reason for all this faff. But it's something I've been doing for years, and it's fairly traditional, and like I say, I enjoy it. So that's what I'm doing. And now that satisfying job's over, it's time for a beer. We keep our beers cold in the water butts that are on the shady side of the shed. It's quite good, it's like having a beer fridge. And today is Earth Day, so happy Earth Day everybody. We are going to be putting the plastic over the polyhouse today, which is very exciting. First job is laying self-adhesive sponge around any bits that might tear the plastic. We are starting at the back, pinning along the back, and then folding it over the front to keep the angles to stop the plastic from ripping, and then we'll secure it down. Essentially we're wrapping it up like a Christmas present and using polytunnel repair tape to seal the edges. It is Friday morning, but my plans for today have gone completely out the window. There's going to be no cutting the door or windows. In fact, I'm not even going to go up to the allotment. I was clearly so giddy with the fact we'd got the cover on yesterday that I trod on a pine cone on my way back from the plot and turned my ankle over. So I am going to be sat on the sofa for the day. I've got a bit of reading to do, and I'll probably sort through the seed packets, but that's basically me today. Fingers crossed I will see you at the plot tomorrow. Good morning. I am still Hop Along Sally, but this morning we're going to cut open the polytunnel. There's a lot of condensation on it, so I bet it's going to be absolutely boiling in there. But we'll get all the door pegged back and everything today. opened, and one of the windows, unfortunately the staple gun has given up the ghost. It's been on its way out for a while, but it's finally decided it's had enough. So we are going to go home and pick up another one. Don't know if we'll be back this afternoon. It might be a case of coming back tomorrow morning. I have picked some garlic chives and some asparagus, which is the makings of a very fine dinner. So might see you this afternoon, might see you tomorrow. We didn't make it back yesterday afternoon, but we did secure the better staple gun, so that's quite exciting. And I'm going to finish the polytunnel today, essentially, get the skirting board around the bottom and get the anti-flap devices on the top and sides, and open the second window. Then it's just a case of filling up the bed, which is going to be a bit of a mammoth task, to be honest. That's quite a deep bed. Not sure where we're going to get the soil for that just yet, but yeah, that's the plan for today. It's beautiful sunshine today, and I'm going to soak up as much of it as I possibly can, because supposedly for the next week after tonight it's going to be grey and rainy for a good 7 days, so I'm going to enjoy it today. Well, that's the windows in. The next thing is I'm going to just line the edges of the raised bed inside the poly house with this black plastic. The bottom of the beds are a water permeable weed proof matting, and then I'm just lining the edges with this. I've also put Enviromesh over the windows. This will keep the air circulation going. The windows will have a plastic seal that goes over the top, as will the door. The door will have a double skin of Enviromesh and plastic to keep the temperature high in here. I'll be installing that next week, hopefully. Well, I think that was quite a success. Now we've just got to fill it up with soil, which is easier said than done. But anyway, covers on. Cheers. Good morning. It is Monday, which means it is the last day of the week in my vlog schedule. I had to take down part of the fence that goes around the side of our plot when I was putting up the cover for the polytunnel the other day, and somebody I know has just had some stuff of theirs ripped up by a badger, and now I've got the fear on, because we've got a lot of badgers around here, and normally, I mean, the fence would never keep them out if they really wanted something, but if you can just kind of block off their kind of general amble parts, then they don't just randomly like look for grubs underneath your sweet peas or something. So that's my main job today, is to just fix that bit of fence that I took down. So this is the fence that runs the perimeter of our plot. As you can see, this is where I have started taking it down to access the back of the polytunnel. I'm going to be filling in this area with odds and sods that we've got around the plot. We are laying the first layer of our bed with the sieved out section of the compost. So all of the rougher bits are going to go straight on the bottom, which includes the stones and sort of cherry pips and that kind of stuff, all the spent bits that are a bit big. So they should, as a mixture, aid drainage and also fill up a bit of space, because that's our main problem. So that's this kind of stuff. It's mostly stones. And then the sieved stuff, at the moment we're just piling it up here, but that will go to form the majority of our bed, and it's really lovely stuff. All our own compost. We'll mix a bit of soil in from this because we're digging out a bed on the other side, and some manure, and that will be it. So while that's been going on, I have actually been doing some work. I have fixed the fence, so it now runs down here from the pond all the way down this edge. I haven't fixed it to the chicken house at the end because I'm going to be putting a watering system in there and I need access. So as well as attaching the top, I've put a runner all the way across the bottom with all the odds and sods from around the back of the greenhouse in our wood store, just so that I can attach the mesh down to the bottom to keep it from being pushed up or dug under, really. And before we go this evening, I'm just going to pick some asparagus. It's in full flow at the moment. I think it's really, really appreciated all that rain we had over winter. I mean, look at the size of them, they're huge. When you're picking asparagus, you just go slightly below the soil with a sharp knife, making sure not to cut any of the other ones that are poking up or anything that might be coming through underneath. An asparagus bed has to be in for a good 3 or 4 years before you start picking from it. So we've had this one in for about probably 7 or 8 years now, and you can see they're really beefy. They're really happy. We've actually started a new asparagus bed, put this one in last year. We've got 10 crowns in here, 5 purple and 5 green, and we will just leave this bed totally for them to go to fern for about 3 or 4 years. And then eventually this bed will take over when the other ones are tired out, so should work quite well. We had one at the other end of the plot years and years ago, and we've kind of got this succession going on at the moment, so that's quite successful. Well, I'm pretty pleased with that. Look at that beast. Huge! Well, we made it home just in time. It's absolutely peeing it down out there, no blue skies anymore, and we've got 7 days of this according to the forecast. So to be perfectly honest, I don't know what I'm going to be recording for next week's vlog. It certainly won't be me filling up the beds of the polytunnel, unfortunately, because moving soil around in a wheelbarrow in torrential rain isn't really my idea of fun. But it's a bit of a shame really, because the tomatoes are really desperate to get in the ground, so I'm just looking at them. I'm really loath to pot them up again though. I mean, if the rain lasts more than a week, I'll definitely have to do it, but hopefully they'll hold out. So yeah, basically I don't know what I'm going to be doing next week. I might have to get a bit creative and see what I can come up with. Everything's looking like it really wants to go in the ground. I'm really hoping after we get past this bit of rain, we will be back on with warm, sunny days. Hopefully it doesn't get too cold during this snap after I've planted out those beans, but that's the way it goes really. If you enjoyed the vlog, do subscribe. As I've said before, they're coming out every Tuesday, so I'm running Tuesday to Tuesday, and drop me a comment if you've got any questions, and I will see you over on Instagram in the meantime. Stay dry.